I'm Marylin Murray, and I'm the creator of the Murray Method, which is the foundational basis of what we use here at PCS. And my role then is to teach that at our Saturday sessions and to encourage people in the way that they know that this can be life-changing for them. My history with PCS goes back to 1982. And Dr. Ralph Earl was my therapist and literally was a lifesaver for me. So I have a really deep heart for PCS. In fact, it makes me tearful right now to say that. I was a businesswoman here in Scottsdale, and at age 44 underwent a lot of very intensive therapy, worked on some childhood issues, and it really changed my life. And so with the encouragement of Dr. Earl and another therapist, I went back to school and obtained my degrees in psychology. In that time, in the early 80s, no one was talking publicly about child abuse or sexual abuse, and I had sexual abuse in my childhood from some strangers. And so I became one of the first persons in the United States to speak publicly about those issues. When I was in the process of getting my degrees, one of the things that I did was start to create a psychological theory to explain how a person, especially a child, survives trauma, thinking it only applied to me. But he encouraged me to teach it to him, and one of my other professors, who was a clinician, also wanted to know. So they used it with their clients, and they told me, you know, this actually works with everybody, not just you. And they encouraged me to widen it out, which I did. I eventually had my own private practice. I was in California for 13 years and specialized in intensive therapy and worked with the really hard cases. I became known as somebody who was knowledgeable in the field of victims and victimizers. Dr. Earl, at the time, we didn't have this program here. This was in the 80s, in the early 90s. And so he sent all of his intensive clients to me. Dr. Earl asked me if I would come to Scottsdale like 1 week out of every 5 or 6 and do a week here of follow-up with all the clients he'd sent me. Well, at the same time, I was starting to get clients who had sex addiction problems. And of course, Dr. Earl is well known internationally for being one of the founders of the whole understanding of sex addiction and sex addiction treatment with his book with Dr. Crow coming out in 1986. And so I thought it would be really good if some of my clients could benefit from him. And from also, he was doing groups for sex addicts here at PCS. And so I started arranging for when I would be doing intensives. I did 3-week intensives, that one of those 3 weeks would be at here. And so those clients would come here and I would see them here, but they'd also see Dr. Earl and participate, in this room in the groups. And that worked really well. We also saw how the intensive program would benefit with groups, because I only saw mine alone. And so this worked out really well. So actually that helped start the PCS IOP program that we have now. This program started, the intensive program started in 1993, so it's the oldest continuous intensive program in the United States. And I saw too how much better it worked with the combination of individual and group like that. Because while I did really well and was very successful doing it alone, you're still missing that group aspect, which just has a specialty to it that one person can't do. And then also, as we know, a group always comes up with more wisdom than a single person. And so that was really great when I would get clients that had eating disorders or different things that weren't, or children that weren't my specialty. To be here at PCS, to be able to say, oh, we have the exact right person for you. So that works really, really well. So I see all the new people that come in. They have an intake from 12 to 1, just filling out paperwork. But I get them from 1 till 6. And during that time, it's they of course get to meet each other, but it's basically me giving them an idea of what the week is going to be like. And I teach them the basics of my Murray method, and let them know that that's going to be the foundation that they'll be working on all week. And I want to prepare them so that when Monday comes, they can hit the ground running, feeling ready to go, and that they feel comfortable, they're used to the building and each other, and that they're not so uptight. And so I know I did intensive therapy in 1980, and I remember it was in California. The first few days, me just sitting there like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, and being very uptight and anxious. And so I know what it feels like to sit out there in the lobby and wonder what in the world is going to happen to me this week. Am I going to be alive at the end of the week? So this Saturday afternoon, I think, helps ease that tension and makes them feel more at home and more comfortable. And of course, it's very special for me because we do it here in Dr. Earl's former office. It makes me tearful, where I did my therapy. And so it's a very sacred place for me to have this, and to be able, it's an honor to be able to have this Saturday session here in this place every week. Everybody has a team of 5 or 6 therapists that's on their individual treatment team. And I always say, the first day, you don't want to have to repeat your story 6 times. If you try to do that, you'd be really irritated about the 3rd hour. And plus, you wouldn't be able to share your whole story with each one, so each therapist would get just kind of a mishmash. And one of the things that makes PCS, I often hear on the last day from clients that one of the things they're so impressed by is the seamlessness of the intensive. That every therapist seems like they just run one to the next. And the trauma egg helps with that, because everybody's singing out of the same book. Everybody is looking at the exact same history. So that works really well. And I teach them that, and then I also teach them my circles of intimacy. And the circles of intimacy is an instrument to help you decide what your values and priorities are. And everybody comes here because their circles are screwed up. That's why they come. If they weren't, they wouldn't be here. And so, but to straighten out those circles means they're going to have to make a lot of changes. Personally, in maybe even a job or relationships, different things. They're going to have to learn to set boundaries. And so that instrument really is used numerous times during the week, because therapists will ask them, what are your values? What are your priorities? What are your goals? Or, who do you need to set boundaries with? Or what's going to sabotage you and keep you from being what you want to be? But the whole goal is to help people become what I call a healthy, balanced person. It's what I call physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. That spells pies, P-I-E-S. So I always ask, how are you pies? Are you balanced there? And so I give them several things that they can evaluate their lives by, where I am now and what they want it to be. So that's on Saturday afternoon, and then I give them some assignments. I'm the bookends, which I think is the greatest job. So I'm the first to see them, but I'm also the last to see them. So then I see everybody on Saturday, the next Saturday morning from 9 till 12, and they share the assignments that I have given them. And they also show me their trauma eggs. And so that's really great. Sometimes when they walk in at Saturday, I don't even recognize some of them. They look so different. And it's just, to me, a miracle that in 8 days, that kind of change can happen. And it really does. I have never seen it not happen. Some are more than others. And obviously I tell them, look, in 8 days, we're not miracle workers. We can't, heal all the pain at all. But we can certainly get you to a place where you can see a light at the end of the tunnel, and that you see that there is hope for healing of people whose lives have really been changed by PCS. So I hope you plan to join us.